I'm Josh Liston from On the Bubble podcast, an oral history of television fandom, part of the Gonna Geek network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other awesome geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Whitley, and you're listening to Capes on the Couch.
Congratulations on having something that is a gift to the world. Make sure that it's being used in a way that's actually enriching the world the way it should, as opposed to just closing off to your own world and starting to wither. Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.
Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
This is issue 189, and we are going to take a swim into the Deadpool today and do the Deathstroke. And if you didn't understand that joke, then you probably don't know who Rob Liefeld is. And I would say good for you. Your feet probably look normal, and you probably don't wear a belt with 11 pouches on it. Anywho. We are going to be talking about Slade Wilson today. Slade. And if you've seen Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which ironically is on Disney Plus or Hulu. It's on
Whatever.
I watched it on Disney Plus and I was like, what? This is a DC? I don't understand any of it. Very funny. Suggest watching it. That's where the Slade comes in. Apologies for the delay in the episode, by the way. Doc and I have just been a little busy, so this one is just mildly delayed. So sorry. But with all that being said, let's get underway and get into the background. Deathstroke, a.k.a. Slade Wilson, created by Marv Wolfman and the late, great George Pérez in the New Teen Titans #2, December 1980. This is a character originally known as Deathstroke the Terminator. That was the full title, but no one ever really calls him the Terminator part, probably because he looks nothing like Schwarzenegger, although he predates Arnold by about 4 years. Plus, it's a mouthful. Deathstroke the Terminator. I don't know. I think just Deathstroke is clean, straightforward. Deathstroke the Terminator, it's too much.
Yeah.
So, backstory on Mr. Wilson. Hey, Mr. Wilson! The first of... Well, I was going to say that's probably going to be the only Dennis the Menace reference I'll make, but we'll see. At 16, he lied about his age to join the army during the Korean War, and he later met his wife, Captain Adeline Kane, and they get married. They had 3 children, Grant, Joseph, and Rose. He continues to work for the army during Vietnam, at which point he is subjected to an experiment where he was injected with a substance that drastically increased his healing, as well as giving him an expanded use of his brain's capacity because of that whole you only use 10% of your brain type thing, because that is so absolutely scientifically accurate.
Hashtag because comics.
It's not. So he started working as a mercenary, but he kept his business private from Adeline until a criminal kidnapped his son Joseph to blackmail Slade. Although Slade did manage to kill the criminal, Joe's throat was sliced, destroying his vocal cords and rendering him mute. This angered Adeline, who served him divorce papers and otherwise took a totally rational and reasonable response to it. No, I'm sorry. She shot him through the right eye.
Now, there is a little bit of backstory to that. It wasn't necessarily that she wanted to shoot him in the eye. She simply wanted to kill him. Wait, actually, that's much worse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, that's not better. That's worse. No, she did try to kill him. She didn't succeed, but she blinded him. And he said, you know what? I'm so badass. I'm going to wear a mask that covers that eye, and I'm still going to beat you. You're going to know I can only see out of the left side of my face, and I still win. That is badass. So Grant, in an effort to impress his father, and as we see, the relationship between Slade and his children is just whatever the antithesis of healthy is. I don't even want to say unhealthy because unhealthy and abusive doesn't begin to cover it. But Grant says, I'm going to impress you, Dad. I'm going to kill the Teen Titans. So he undergoes an experiment to give him superhuman abilities, except the experiment goes haywire and he dies. And Slade says, I'm going to blame the Titans for Grant's death. Not the people who actually did the experiment, mind you, but he's going to blame the Titans. And he vows vengeance on them, but he was defeated. Now, here's where if you go back and you listen to our episode on Terra, we talk about the Judas contract. We reference a lot of that. This is one of the most famous Titans stories ever, quite possibly one of the most famous stories in comics, but I digress. The Judas contract. Slade uses Terra to infiltrate the Titans. She is his mole. They're sleeping together. It's very awkward, very horrible, very, as the kids say, it gives me the ick. But in any case, once he learns the identities and the weaknesses of the Titans, systematically goes after each one of them. Joseph, who managed to survive and is now operating as Jericho, and point of fact, he can possess you if he makes eye contact with you. He joins with Nightwing to possess Slade and shut everything down. Terra dies and Slade gets captured. Although he goes to trial and Beast Boy / Changeling shows up. Changeling is like, I'm going to kill you. And Slade is like, no, you only want to kill the mask. You don't want to kill Slade Wilson. I made a lot of mistakes. Let's talk about it. And Gar says, yeah, okay, you're cool. We good. And they go their separate ways. So after that, they kind of have this begrudging respect, particularly between Gar and Slade. And he works alongside some of the Titans while still operating as a merc. Then he's forced to mercy kill Joseph, who had become possessed by the souls of Azarath. And he's like, please kill me so I can be free of this. And Slade goes, okay, cool. And runs him through with a sword. Also, he gave his ex-wife Adeline a blood transfusion. And because of, I think he had gotten an injection to try and enhance his abilities.
Yeah.
So after he gets the injection, he gives Adeline a blood transfusion and the chemicals in it drive her insane. And she says, all metahumans are responsible for my son's death. So I'm going to wipe them all off the face of the earth. She requests a mercy kill. Slade says, no, I can't kill you. But Starfire says, I will give you the death, and proceeds to obliterate Adeline. And Slade's like, you know what? We're not cool anymore. We're done. He cuts ties with the Titans. Then we later find out that Jericho, aka Joseph, possessed Slade right before his death. He takes over Slade's body to enact revenge on all the Titans. And this leads to Slade training Rose, the last remaining child, to kill Jericho. But his methods drove her insane, so much so that she takes her eye out to says, hey, Dad, I'm just like you, in the worst remake of Cats in the Cradle I've ever heard. It's just, it's bad, folks. It's bad. Like I said, Slade is not winning any Father of the Year awards. I can tell you that. I don't care what it says on his coffee mug. He's not Father of the Year. He's not the world's greatest dad by any stretch of the imagination. Then, in addition to all that, not only does he mess up his entire family, he's responsible for the destruction of Bloodhaven and killing over 100,000 people in an attempt to mentally destroy Nightwing. But he's defeated by Batman, Tim Drake, and Nightwing. New 52 reboots him as a mercenary who lost his eye in a terrorist attack, and after his sons and wife were killed, he goes on a rampage to protect Rose, and he dies in Rebirth after being killed by Red Arrow. The point is, Slade is touted as the greatest assassin in the DC universe. His abilities, depending on the writer, put him as a hand-to-hand fighter capable of going toe-to-toe with the likes of Batman, the entire Bat family, Arrows, the Green Arrow clan, Lanterns. He's a strategist, again, on the level of Batman. Slade Wilson is not someone to be trifled with, especially if you are related to him through blood or marriage. And that brings us to the issues. So the theme is being too smart for your own good doesn't have to turn out this bad. So the first issue, kids, they're a handful. Am I right?
All right. I apologize, everyone. I just had to have some levity here because
Don't apologize for it.
That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not apologizing for the fact that I did that. I'm apologizing for the fact that I had to open with something so light because we're dealing with a topic so deep. This is hard stuff. You already pointed out that he's not exactly a role model for anyone, let alone his own children, but it kind of makes it difficult then to relate this to a more typical parent-child relationship without bringing in things like abuse and neglect and all that other yucky stuff. Well, so be it. The world is full of those things, thankfully not overrun by those things. For the most part, people can find the positives of whatever's going on in their relationship, and you can find ways to get through an incredibly difficult childhood. But I think the point of this is, as parents, we have more say-so in how the track begins for a child's life than we realize. And we try and extend it out longer than we truly can. So, yes, that is a human being that is relying on you for everything for several years because, unlike other species, we need it as babies and as toddlers and as young children and even as adolescents. I mean, it's a long time that we really are that responsible. And so, yes, that means that everything you do is under a microscope. And I don't mean that from a societal perspective, although it could take that. I just mean that they really are sponges. They will observe everything. They will have certain traits that either they will learn directly from you or indirectly from you, or have genetic predispositions for things that you don't even think about or consider. And if you do it unconsciously, well, you're asleep at the wheel. And on the other hand, because we've seen both sides of this, we've seen Slade allow his kids to develop things where they're like, all right, time to just go on my own and do a lot of damage. And because he's in his own world, things don't work out. But we've also seen him say, okay, let me go the opposite route. Forget taking the wheel. I'm going to be the wheel and, a separate handbrake, and I'm going to be pushing the thing from behind, and I'm going to make sure that it's on rails. Like he goes totally overboard where he wants to just train the perfect child, and well, that doesn't go so well either. It's incredible because I appreciate the lessons learned about the idea that it's great to give children material. It's also nice to edit that material in a way that's appropriate for the age level. And it's also a good idea then to allow the child to have their own expression of said material and provide feedback. I'm kind of noticing how things should happen a little more gradual rather than this whole start, stop, complete on off thing that Deathstroke has done. And that is the part that sticks out with me for all of this. There's a correlation here. There's a Simpsons reference, because why not, where Bart basically says, after Homer gets this zeal to do things, he said, Dad, your half-assed over-parenting is way more scary than your half-assed under-parenting. And that is the summary I could think of when it comes to Mr. Wilson.
Yeah. Parenting is not an easy job. And you and I have spoken at length about our respective roles as fathers. And to any parent listening to this show, I hope you know, or I certainly hope you believe that you're doing the best that you can on any given day. I'd like to think that we're all doing a better job than Slade, and that we have our children's best interest at heart, that We give them the space and love that they need to develop and grow into solid, well-rounded people with their own interests. You know, it's funny. I just asked my son tonight. I was doing bedtime with him, and I don't know what made me really think of it. And I was like, hey, bub, what makes you feel loved the most? And he said, when I'm with you and mommy. And I was like, that's it? He goes, yep. I said, well, do you feel loved when you're not with us? Like when you go to school or when like we have to go to work or whatever? He said, yeah. He said, I still know you love me. Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. And I didn't want to push it further than that because I didn't want to make it a thing. And also because then he started getting distracted because it was right before bedtime and he just kind of wanted to play. But I like to throw those questions out every once in a while, or I ask him, you know, like, is there almost like a poll, like an opinion poll, like, is there something you think I could be doing better as your father? You're
looking at the metrics, like really,
like, oh, you know, I'm gonna study, you know, response time and his eye movement. Like, no, I'm not going through any of that. But I certainly have my way of doing things. But I know, I hope you're sitting down for this. I know I can get a little locked in sometimes to a particular path and not always be mindful of the outside world and how they might perceive things. And so even though I'm doing what I think is best for my kid, I don't always necessarily know how that's resonating with him. So I like to get that feedback. And I'm circling this back to Slade because he doesn't do that at all. Either it doesn't occur to him or he doesn't care or some combination thereof. Point being, Slade is going to do what Slade is going to do regardless of whether or not it messes up his kids. Spoiler alert, it does. And this segues nicely into the second thing, which also kind of touches on what I was talking about, intellectualization as an isolator. Sometimes, and not that I'm speaking from experience at all, you can focus so much on intellect and analysis of people or situations that you end up removed from the very thing that you're analyzing, and it renders you detached from humanity, essentially. Yeah. Again, not speaking from experience at all whatsoever. Just speaking purely hypothetically.
Not that I would know anything about doing that to weaponize it to the point that you intentionally want to create awkward situations with other people so that they leave you alone, you know, like a lot. So my point here was just to say that we're all allowed to have things that we cherish about ourselves that we consider to be positive attributes. It's great. It's good for self-esteem. It's productive for society because you can usually use those things that you consider yourself to be good at to either be productive with a job or improve someone else's life through a relationship with them and whatnot. So to see Slade, and you can read any of these comics, he doesn't have to say a lot. It oozes that, as I've already hinted at before, like, he is always going to consider himself the smartest man in the room. The problem is he loves giving evidence of it at every turn, and understood. It's not, in that case, it's not necessarily arrogance, it's confidence, but there is a way to go about it that can strengthen the opportunity for other people to appreciate who you are. And there's another way that actually creates anger, resentment, sometimes even fear. And when that comes across, some people are probably going to be very upset with what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. You know you're doing it because you actually are looking for that fight. You're looking for that reaction because you don't suffer fools. And you're setting mental traps because you want people to say something that you consider to be either unsubstantiated, an ad hominem attack. They can't say something about the content, so they'll say something about you or your personality, or they'll simply think that you're trying to intimidate them and just slink away. And you've just crowned yourself exactly what I said before, king intellect, the smartest person that anybody can come to. You're the wise man, except you're not being wise. You're just being a jerk. If that's the case, then congratulations. You are the king of an empty room. That type of loneliness might be intentional because for all the other forms of intelligence that you're demonstrating, you lack the emotional intelligence to form those bonds. Or there's been a situation where maybe you just didn't feel comfortable enough to allow for vulnerability to something you didn't understand. Or maybe you literally just wanted to get into like a brain contest with somebody else and it was all about ego. Maybe that really is what it comes down to sometimes. I've seen all of these play out professionally. I've seen it play out personally. And I'd like to think nowadays that I don't do this anymore, and I'm being very open and candid about it. I know that there were times in the past where I've done that, and for anybody, if they've ever heard me speak or listened to me and felt that way, then I would like to say I apologize. But beyond that, I don't think I've done that for a very long time. And if anybody feels like they're even being challenged just listening to this, please understand that I'm not trying to make you feel less than in terms of saying all the things I just mentioned. I'm just saying that congratulations on having something that is a gift to the world. Make sure that it's being used in a way that's actually enriching the world the way it should, as opposed to just closing off to your own world and starting to wither.
Yep. It's a lesson I've learned a lot over the years, and in some cases, a very hard way, some cases, not necessarily as hard. There's nothing wrong with the pursuit of intellectual knowledge in and of itself. Not arguing that at all. Never going to make that statement. Absorbing as much as you can for the simple sake of learning as much as you can, I don't consider to be a negative either. It's when you accumulate all of that knowledge just to justify your own ego or to attempt to prove something to yourself or the world, that is where I start to question the intentions behind the accumulation of said knowledge. If you're going to read all these books, if you're going to learn and you're going to study, that's absolutely fantastic. What are you going to do with it? Accumulation of knowledge, again, on its own, not a problem. But you need to apply that knowledge in some fashion. And the older I get, the more I come to realize that if you can't explain what you've learned, then you don't truly understand it. To just say, yeah, I read this and have now committed it to memory, fantastic. What does it mean? How does it make you a better person? How does it make the world a better place? What effect does that knowledge have on those around you? That to me is a better, I hate to say the word better, but I can't think of a better word for it than that. That is a better metric of knowledge accumulation than just saying I read X number of books or I have, so many degrees or whatever the case may be. That's all well and good. I'm not trying to take any shine off of that, but what are you doing with it? And again, if your only goal with the accumulation of this knowledge is to say, that makes me smarter than you, that makes me better than you, then you're missing the point of all of the knowledge that you are ostensibly accumulating. And I just don't know how else to phrase that. Part of it is because I'm tired and it's been a long several days. And part of it is just because I'm trying to make it as simple as possible to say that to borrow a phrase from or a misphrase from another DC character, we live in a society.
Oh boy.
But it's true. It is true. I mean, Joker memes and Snyder comments aside, it's true that we live in a world with other people. And in theory, if you subscribe to particular schools of thought, the whole goal of the accumulation of all that knowledge is to turn around and use it for the betterment of humanity. Then holding on to it and hoarding it is no better than the hoarding of wealth, as far as I'm concerned. And, we're not going to get into capitalism and all that stuff. That's, again, for another podcast, but you can kind of view it like that. Like if you're going to, there's nothing inherently wrong with having a lot of money. What are you doing with it? And how did you get that money? How did you get that knowledge? Did you come by it through hard work and diligence and studying and application, or was it given to you? That's more so applicable to the money. But the point is, what are you doing with it? Because it's nice to look at and it's nice to have, but at the end of the day, you ain't taking it with you. So, which I think segues nicely into the third issue, which is the definition of enough. And that has several facets to it.
Oh, yeah. And some of you may be saying, like, this is a little odd. And it's true. I kind of shoehorned it because I've been desperate to talk about this for a long time, because a psychological facet to this is incredibly dangerous. So we as creatures have learned how to survive with scarcity. If you are looking for your next source of food, if you are trying to avoid being eaten by a wild animal, if you are trying to protect yourself from the elements and need to create shelter for yourself, you're always in a heightened state of awareness for anything that may have gone wrong. And when you finally get something that goes right, you take advantage of it and act like it's never going to happen again. And you end up either hoarding it, or if it's food, you eat all of it, or if it's something considered of value, you'll store it, you'll find ways to hide it, all these other things that are just in our, it's a part of why we exist. So that's a good thing. It is, until it isn't. Congratulations. We actually have found a way, once again, to go back to that meme, to generate a society where a lot of the primal things that we initially think of for our survival aren't always necessary every second of the day. And so we now don't have to automatically eat everything immediately as it comes to us. We don't automatically have to, the first time we see someone and have a positive relationship, think, all right, let's have as many kids as we possibly can in the moment so that we continue to propagate the species. And don't get me wrong, as we said, kids are great, but everything in moderation. We don't have to. And now here's the part that people probably tune out a little bit, because it's like, well, easy for you to say if you're living, hand to mouth. I understand that. I'm not saying if you're struggling, don't continue to get what you need. But that's the point. Once you have what you need, what's the next thing? You can prepare for disasters. You can do things so that things are better in life in the future. Yes, future forward thinking is a human capability that's amazing. And then you end up with sometimes people getting to the point where either they have a certain amount of something that they clearly are not going to need for the rest of their life, or their progeny's life, or even the next generation's life. And it's like, well, okay. Is there meaning to this? Is there purpose to this? Is this actually benefiting anyone? And what does that do to you emotionally? Are you literally creating your own anxiety in perpetuity? Because that's what that does if you continue to have a scarcity mindset in an environment of abundance. You are falsely creating a treadmill that you just constantly have to run on, and you're making yourself exhausted. So someone like Slade, let's make this clear, because mercenaries, and I'm not pretending this is my area of expertise, but mercenaries don't come cheap. And if he's as good as everyone has said he is, he's set. So that's the financial piece. This person has, one way or another, had a huge impact on society. All right? How many more times you got to do this? When it comes to humanity, like, how many more people you need to kill? How many more times do you have to interact with your family in a negative way that one of them does even more stuff along with you or against you or whatever. How many people do you need to be a target for in addition to killing yourself? How often are we going to do this song and dance? It's absurd. Absolutely absurd when you look at it from that perspective. So there's an easy rebuttal to this. And as has been stated by me in the past, like, we always need to adapt. We always need to grow. We need to continue our knowledge. To go back to the other points, all very true. But on what path? Because if you're doing it just for the sake of that act itself and it has no emotional content, has no relational content, then you're still more than likely going to end up not feeling fulfilled. You have to have all those other buckets go along with just whatever the thing is you're focusing on. It's great if you have your physical health and you become incredibly strong or incredibly fast or things like that so that you avoid the sarcopenia as you get older, meaning the muscle wasting and all that stuff. That's wonderful. I'm glad you're able to do that. I'm glad you're able to live a long life. With whom? If you can't answer that, that might be a struggle. I'm amazed at how many degrees you've been able to earn and how many things you've been able to publish. And it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad that you've done, I hope, the type of advocacy in your field that is going to allow for this to be applied in some way to other people rather than locking yourself in an ivory tower. I am so glad that your business has taken off to the point that you worked your butt off to make it what it is, and it's produced more for your family and everybody else, that you could do whatever you want to do. You're living the nature boy lifestyle, limousine riding, jet flying, all that stuff. And it's amazing. And I think that is a good thing for the people that you bring with you, and you continue to develop the philanthropy side that allows for society to know that it's not all going to be frivolously spent in a way that's not going to last beyond your final breath. These are all challenges. These are not insults. They're more questions and possibilities for what things could be like if you decide that for you personally, you have enough.
Yeah. And you bring up legacy, and we talk about it on the show, and I'm going to borrow something that normally you would say: who lives, who dies, who tells your story. I didn't know if I'm sure you were thinking it, but you're always the one who makes the Hamilton references. I figured I would take the opportunity. But yeah, it's the absolute truth that we say, oh, if only I had this, if only I had that. We start to put these parameters on things, or these qualifiers, that if I just had this much money, I'd be happy. Or if only I had these things, that it would be enough. That would be enough. But is it? I think back to, like, my mom always jokes, like, when the Powerball of the Mega Millions gets up to, it's like, oh, this, there hasn't been a jackpot winner in so long. And now the jackpot for the Mega Millions is like 1.2 billion. She's like, I don't need 1.2 billion. That's way too much money. I need enough to pay my bills, make sure I can leave something to the kids. That's it. And make sure that the grandkids are taken care of. That's it. I don't need a billion. I don't want that kind of responsibility, frankly. That's a lot of money. I'll take a couple mil. Sure. Pay off the mortgage, pay off student loan debts, maybe buy a new house, mortgage free, be able to travel, relax. I want enough to not have to worry about work for the rest of my life, that I can take the time and enjoy with my family. And that's that. I don't need $30 billion. What would I do with that? Like, I don't know if this is just me or if this happens to a lot of people. I look at the total accumulated wealth of some of these individuals, and I go, what would you do with that money? Like, if I turn around and I had Elon Musk money, I wouldn't spend it on buying Twitter and turning it into a hellscape. I can tell you that much. I probably would have done something better than that. But I don't know. I don't know what you could do with that much money. And I think it's actually kind of like a catch-22, because if you're in that mindset that is the goal, then it's never enough. because it just becomes about making the number bigger. Is the number bigger today than yesterday? Yes, then I'm good. Then I'm happy. Or happy in quotes, because I don't think any of these people are happy. And I don't think Slade is ever happy. That nothing is going to satisfy him. Nothing. No amount of killing.
Wait. Hold on. Are you saying that he'll never be satisfied?
No, he could never be satisfied. That's 3 Hamilton references, 3 different songs in the span of about 5 minutes. So kudos to us. But he will never have enough. And I pity him. And that's spoiler. Yeah, I just realized as I was saying, I was like, oh, that's kind of
that's great.
Kind of mild spoiler for the skit.
Love it.
But
love it.
But it's the truth. So
yeah.
With that in mind, we're going to take a break. We'll plug a couple shows. When we get back, we'll get the treatment. Stick around.
Hey, it's good old boy Mike.
This is good old boy Dave.
From Sips, Suds, and Smokes. Sips, Suds, and Smokes covers wine, tea, coffee, distilled spirits, whiskey, scotch, beer, cigars.
People whose first name starts with Q.
Bad fake British accents.
And we always take time to make fun of the people of Alabama.
Banned once again.
It's a 1-hour episode that's mildly entertaining for about 22 minutes.
I think mildly would be a vast improvement.
Well, we do have the only beer show with the Holy Man. We talk about these products and rate them with our unique rating system, like our Suds 5 rating. Do you really have something better to do with your life for an hour than actually listen to this show?
Well, don't make them think about it.
Well, join us on this radio station, podcast network, or via our Android app.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you.
That's right. We are Friday the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
get slayed.
And we're back. So treatment. So starting with in-universe for Mr. Wilson. Go ahead.
A lot of people are going to be upset with me because I'm going to do something that's considered unethical. I'm going to put a hit out on someone. It's not on me. It's not on me. The problem is it's not the type of hit you would think. It's a protection. I would make him basically be the ultimate bodyguard. I don't even have to say who it is. That's not the point of it. I want him to be able to use his skill set and get the right backing. Remember, this is in universe. So I know some people I can get the proper financial backing if they, and I know some people that if they heard about this idea, they would be willing to financially back it. Basically, I want to make sure, you know what? This is going to be the richest contract you've ever had. You're not allowed to kill anyone. Basically, I'm making him almost take the Batman kind of stance. You have to protect this person at all costs. And your fee is actually going to go down for every single person that you hospitalize. I'm not even saying kill. Like there's a lot of guardrails to this. And why am I doing that? Because despite what they say about him using so much of his brain, well, I guess I'm trying to expand that even more. I want him to develop the types of skills that are necessary to think above and beyond what he's used to doing, and doing it in a way that has to incorporate a level of humility, a level of empathy, level of understanding that he otherwise isn't going to get. And because it's a very substantial financial agreement and a contract, I know that he would actually try and honor it. And I think that would make him a better person.
Well, that's the thing. And we really didn't get into this too much, but it's a lot of depending on the writer, how much of a code he has. it's ebbed and flowed depending on, again, the writer and the need for the story, etc. But he does largely follow some kind of a code of ethics as far as not discriminately killing innocents, not going after somebody that he's not hired to, et cetera, et cetera. Again, for drama and story purposes, sometimes that gets skewed a bit, but I think that could in theory work. I just, wonder how much of it is too much of a challenge, and is it all just about the money and the difficulty, or would he go, nah, it's not worth it, and I'll kill you for suggesting it.
See, now that part, I think that would be out of character to say he'd kill me for suggesting that I give him money to do something that I think he's capable of.
Fair,
that's almost,
but
that's
again,
almost that's almost Sisyphusian. Like you can't say to me, "Oh, this is so out of character that I'm going to punish you because I don't like the idea of you putting these guardrails around me." I'm like, well, then why did you get into this in the first place? If it were easy, you wouldn't be paid this much. I really find it difficult to think that he would not take that challenge. That I don't know. I gotta admit that's the whole point of this. That's what growth is, right? Growth happens in the unknown.
Fair. Okay. So out of universe then, taking away all of the metahuman stuff, you have the soldier with a difficult family life who finds himself untethered from humanity or anything that would ground him in empathy and understanding for his fellow people.
Welcome to the Veterans Administration, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is pretty much bread and butter, and I'm not even talking about PTSD. I'm not even getting to that topic. I'm just saying, meeting a person where they are. What is their expectation? Some people, and this requires a lot of honesty for these types of encounters. Some people don't want to rebuild things that have been broken. Some people want to move forward with their life without their previous family life based on their experience. It's not my job as the counselor or therapist to say, no, you got to get all that back. You have to mend this. You have to do. If the person is willing to engage in that, that can be an incredibly rewarding path to take, but that's not the only path to take. Some people want to learn how to be comfortable being by themselves. They have to start with that inner work of acknowledging what they actually see as positive characteristics about themselves, because this may have been based on low self-esteem or even self-loathing. And you have to unpackage that. Other people actually have noticed that they have new relationships that they want to foster, but they only know one track, and they're worried, rightfully so, that they're going down the same path that they've gone before and want to find ways to change that. So then that involves more direct interactions or getting feedback from people that maybe they never even thought of seeking feedback before. It's like, have you actually talked to your wife about this? Like whatever the topics are. And if we're talking about someone that has gone so much to the point that they're an incel that thinks they already have it figured out based on whatever it is that they found on the internet or in self-help books and all those other things, and they bring all of this to the session and say, look, I'm already doing all of this stuff. Why isn't it working? And you have to just point out to them, yeah, but have you talked to anybody? I'm not even saying as a therapist, like, do you talk to people? Please. Start there, and we'll work out the details regardless of how you think it's supposed to go. A lot of this, though, I have to say, and Slade has been written like this as well, for all the intellectualization that happens when the right person strikes the right nerve, it leads to impulsivity because there is a lot of emotionally laden content under the surface that results in anger, depression, and all the other emotions that don't come out in any other way. And the therapist may or may not take the brunt of that because these things haven't come out any other way. And it can lead to some ultimately rewarding circumstances, but yeah, there's some dicey stuff in the middle. And thankfully, most people are better off for it and are actually grateful. So I will say on a high note, but it's not always easy work. Not always easy work, especially when people have the attitude that they already know the answers and are wondering why we are all of a sudden changing the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I started talking about the out of universe, I was like, I'm certain that there are real life Slade Wilsons out there that have become jaded, for lack of a better term, through their experiences. We've certainly seen no shortage of comments and things in the media by veterans, by former military personnel that have indicated that they were told one thing to enlist and another thing entirely once their service was completed. And that we've talked about soldiers and former military personnel on the show before, and just this idea that they're chewed up and spit out once they're no longer quote unquote valuable to society. And I think what we've seen over the past several decades with the VA and all of the scandals and the treatment associated with that just kind of, I hate to say validates some of those feelings, but I'm certainly not saying that it justifies the way some of these people have perhaps gone about it, but at the very least, it validates their feelings. How can you say, we value soldiers, thank you for your service, this, that, and the other, and then turn around and get mistreated like they have at the VA? And all the resources in the greatest country in the world, I'm putting that in quotes, puts into the military. Well, the billions of dollars that get spent year after year on the weapons and everything involved with the military industrial complex. But to take care of the people that come out on the other side of that would cost a fraction of that number to provide them the resources and the services that are required just to meet a bare minimum standard of living is a fraction, is a rounding error in the Pentagon's annual budget. And they go, nah, fam, we don't need that. It's disgusting. It's appalling. And again, I'm not trying to get on too much of a soapbox, but that's why I'm saying I understand. You know, I'm not going to get like all Chris Rock. Like I'm not saying Slade should have done this, but I understand. But I do. But I understand. And this is coming from somebody who's never served a day in his life. But I absolutely 100% understand the frustration, to put it mildly, of former military personnel who feel disrespected by the government and by the very organizations and ideas that they were supposed to be supporting and defending, and then turn around and spit in their face.
I would also like to point out that not nearly as quick as it should, but things are improving and resources are improving. I'll also just randomly, this isn't a topic, this isn't an issue. It is an issue, but I'm saying it's not meant to fit the script of all of this. For some of y'all that are holding out, please actually, if you are a veteran and you've served and you've gone through your paperwork, please do your DD 214. Please get your evaluation and please get your service connection. You earned it. It's not an entitlement. It's a privilege and it's your compensation. Okay. You did your job. You deserve to get paid for it. So that's just my random advocacy then. If Anthony has his way of doing it, I have mine when it comes to topics like this. So, didn't know we were going there with this, but hey, that's just the nature of this podcast.
Yep. We plan stuff out, but sometimes we go off script. But one place where we're not going to go off script is with the skit. So let's see what happens when we get Slade Wilson on Dr. Issues' couch.
Hello, Deathstroke. I'm Dr. Issues.
Doctor, this is unusual, and I don't like it.
Well, therapy or counseling isn't always meant to be fun, and lots of people hate going to the doctor.
Not like that. I've been a wanted man for ages. You've seen patients like me in confined areas before, yet you let me waltz in without a hint of security. No shackles, no guards. Well, not even a warning. That doesn't make sense. So I can only draw two conclusions. Either you're requesting my services, in which case you have no need for safety, or you have an unknown, which uncharacteristically would put me at a disadvantage.
I'm sure you've read my profile.
Yeah, from that exposure you had a while back, sure. Very sloppy and yet cleaned up as if it never happened. Your current information is modest on networks, but still acclamatory. But I'm sure you're referencing my ability to infer that you are a pacifist and would never utilize my means. Very well. I will take this session at face value. Humanity is full of idiots. You're no different.
That's quite the exposition and non sequitur simultaneously. I'll bite. What's wrong with humanity and how does that affect you?
It's hard to act with perfection when you can't let morons know you are imperfect. I can exploit anyone I want. That's not the problem. Sometimes it's pleasurable. It's always profitable. But I'm not above petty revenge. I've loved before. I hate even more. And yet only one of those goes unrequited for long. No one will pity a mercenary.
You don't deserve pity. No one does.
Too Machiavellian of a phrase for a Hippocratic practitioner.
Too quick of a process from the smartest man in the room. Let me clarify. No one deserves pity because they deserve grace, honesty, and empathy. Yeah, the ratios of those, that can be seen as enlightening, punishing, rewarding, depends on the circumstances. Look, I think this whole chase is beneath you. By your own account, I'm beneath you. So why bother? I mean, I've seen your prices. Money? Really?
If I've mastered the rules of a game, then I should be able to keep my own scoreboard at my whim. But I have other motivations, and yes, I will admit that they are just as basic as any other family man. I don't pretend to be stereotypical in my reactions, but I mourn my losses too.
I feel like this is all a test of my wits. Like I have to prove to you I'm worthy of your time. You could have ended this. Take of that what you will. You really could at any point. So do you really think I have some sort of ace up my sleeve?
Well, unlike you, I don't use the colloquial I feel to substitute for I think. And yes, I think, I know you have me scouted. Anything less, and you are a blind, naive, and trusting fool.
Try me.
I know you've encountered the Titans before. I created a diversion so they will be too busy searching for a fake battle hundreds of miles away. You are alone.
Am I now?
I suppose you think your latest burner phone will save you. All signals from this office are blocked. It's a brick now. No bats will be in this belfry.
Well,
surely that can't be it, right? You have more to deliver to test my mettle. The Archer, maybe the Martian, perhaps even that big blue buffoon.
Don't call me Shirley.
You truly are an idiot like all the rest.
Cool. Then you don't have to waste your energy on killing me.
You're not a mark. That's the only reason you're still breathing.
Under the circumstances, I'll take it.
As if you have a choice. Pathetic.
Oh, and Mr. Wilson? I just wanted to let you know that you don't have to intimidate someone who's genuinely trying to help you. It makes you look like a casual jerk instead of a ruthless assassin. You know, amongst the government agencies, the interstellar factions, the extra-dimensional rulers, and the plain old folks who I'm sure just want to see you suffer. You know, I might be your only chance of having any semblance of a peaceful life. I'm risking my existence by talking to you and keeping my vow of confidentiality only if you actually mean what you just said. Because I can have a clear conscience that you're just a shrewd, butthurt businessman rather than the essence of evil that those who conspire against you would want me to believe. And by the way, I figured all that out without anyone telling me a single word. So I may not be a queen on your chessboard, but I damn sure am not a pawn.
Do you have anything more to say?
Slade!
All you had to say was my name, and we could have avoided the banter. No context, please, unless I come to you.
Now we have an agreement. Goodbye.
Oof, coming down there off of that adrenaline high?
You know, it's weird. I'll take anybody's insults, but if you have this combination where you think either I don't care or I'm trying to be manipulative and I'm a dumbass, like, that just hits too many points for me. I lose it, but I'm chill now.
All right, good. So recommended reading is The Judas Contract. Not too surprising. Again, it is one of the most famous Teen Titans stories. I think it's the most famous Teen Titans story and one of the most famous stories in comics. So check that out. It's an older story. And again, there's some really icky stuff in there, but it's still a fantastic story despite all that. So upcoming episodes, we've got Storm, Wonder Woman, and Shadow Man. Really all over the place. Storm, we got a lot of good stuff there, a lot to mine. Diana, enough said about that. Shadow Man, I got to be perfectly honest, I don't know anything about him.
I was going to say, we got some work to do.
So we got a lot of research on that, but that's cool because it's a challenge and I like that. So it's the beauty of the show. So as always, you can find all of our episodes on our website, capesonthecouch.com. We are also proud members of the Gonna Geek Network. You can go to gonnageeknetwork.com and check out our show and all of our sister shows. Apologies to Chris from Play Comics for the several reschedulings. I do have to get on there, and Doc, you have to just go ahead and schedule yours.
Actually acknowledge it. Yeah.
You have to actually acknowledge the email, and then we got to get on there for our joint episode. So, Chris, really, really sorry. We've just been super swamped with stuff, but I haven't forgotten. I have my inbox open right now, and I'll be rescheduling that appearance on Play Comics to talk about a Superman game. So looking forward to that. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Capes on the Couch. Hoping to get some additional content up there. I've got some stuff I had pulled from the Erica Schultz interview because, again, we had like almost 2 hours of content there, but I just have to actually do the thing. I've been on vacation and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm on vacation. I can get all this stuff done. And it was like, oh, I'm on vacation. I can work around the house and get all these things done and not have to worry about my job, which has also been kicking my sorry behind. But I digress. We've got some cool stuff lined up and hopefully we can get some con appearances. We're submitting panels all over the place. New York, New Jersey, PA. Fingers crossed we get some of them approved so we can get out there and see all you lovely people in person. And we got some other stuff in the hopper. Again, we're working on. I know we keep teasing it and I know we keep saying it, but I want to let you know we are working behind the scenes on things. It's just a matter of what we can actually get done with our time and schedules aligned such as they are, or unaligned as they are. Some of it's me, some of it's Doc, some of it is just fate. But hope you enjoyed the episode. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review on a platform that allows you to do so. And if you really like what you hear, head on over to patreon.com/Capes on the Couch. You can subscribe there and unlock additional uncensored content. You can unlock early access. You got a whole host of back catalog stuff to go through. And we certainly appreciate each and every one of our patrons. So before we head out, Doc?
If you really do assume you're the smartest in the room, don't be surprised that you end up stranded on an island yelling, Wilson!
Wow. Okay. Full respect for the Tom Hanks. Reminds me when I worked at Blockbuster and that movie came out and we had little Wilson keychains to give away, little volleyballs. I've still never seen that movie, by the way. But
Wait. Okay. You buried the lead on that story. What?
Yeah, I've never seen Castaway.
Oh my. Okay. I can't remember the last time I've actually been surprised about something. That seems like it would be right up your alley, man. It's a great movie.
Okay. There's lots of great movies I haven't seen. I just never got around to them.
Okay.
So,
okay.
If I have time, I'll check it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but in any event, on that note, for Doc Issues, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.